Right, Liam Griffin, you're a newcomer to the British Touring Car Championship this season. Not a newcomer to the paddock because you've been in Porsches in recent years, but how much are you looking forward to racing the Ford that's behind us during the year ahead?
Yeah, very much so. I was obviously with Motorbase last year, so I know the team pretty well these days. So it's quite a nice, relaxed atmosphere, and it's a good bunch of guys to work with. But the car, I've come from the Porsches last year, which I struggled with a little bit, and found the rear-wheel drive, engine out the back, a little bit of a handful. Come back to this, which is front-wheel drive, much more familiar. And so far, well, up until today, I've gone quite well in practice.
So even though touring car fans have seen you in action in the Porsches, you're a bit of an unknown quantity. So just tell us a bit about your racing experience. What's your background prior to the Porsches?
Yeah, it's a pretty short story. I'd never done a track day until about 3.5 years ago, and I got invited on one with some friends. Loved it. Came back, did the Palmer Sport Day. Quite like this, and then got involved in the VW Cup with my company's minicab firm, which at the time ran lots of VWs. Got in touch with a guy, account manager, said if I wanted to go racing, what could I do? And they introduced me to Racing Line, who organised the VW Cup. So I did 2 years in that. Gradually got the hang of it, by the end of which I won 3 out of the last 6 races. I thought, all right, let's see what else is out there. So that was when I joined Motorbase and did the Porsche last year. So literally this is I've done 3 full seasons, and so 4th year.
So you're like the quickest cab company in London then?
Of course not, we're very sedate, very sensible cab drivers.
Never break the speed limit?
No, never, not at all.
Now you're here at Alton Park today, you've had a couple of runs in the car already. What have been your first impressions of the Focus?
The first thing about these things is the notice of the grip. They're so much more stable, they're so much more grippy than the Porsche. That helps. We've obviously had a lot of issues today, so I haven't actually done a lap in anger yet. I've only done 5 in and out laps, which as you can see, we're changing the engine again. But I think that's part of the fun of having such a thoroughbred car, that these things happen with these. So so far it's been a good experience. I've enjoyed it. It's a much more comfortable car for me to drive personally. I'm looking forward to it.
Now you know the team, but how important is it that you've got a teammate alongside you who's got experience of racing these cars, that he can pass that experience on to you?
Yeah, that's a massive part for me. Obviously, due to my lack of experience, I'm trying to give the limited feedback that I can, whereas Matt is going into the nth degree about all of the geometry and the dampers and the rebounds and the things which I can only pretend to understand really. So he's doing the setup work, and I'm having the benefit hopefully.
What do you think is a realistic target for your first season in touring cars? Because unfortunately for you, you're not coming in at a time when we've got a little grid and points finishes are guaranteed. You're coming in at a time when we're looking like having a capacity grid. So what do you think's realistic?
If you translate, I looked at translating my times behind Tim Harvey in the Porsche across to this, and if I convert that, if I do, then realistically, I'm looking at top 15. I certainly feel more comfortable in the front wheel drive than I did last year in the Porsche. And my first 2 days of testing, I've not been a million miles off of Matt. So realistically, I got in the top 15 to start with and built from there. Everyone talks about getting points. Hopefully, if that happens, you never know in this race. Half the field can crash. So, I'd be optimistic that we could achieve that sooner rather than later.
When you're a driver coming into this who's not a professional racing driver, is there an element of regardless of the results, you just want to go out there and have fun?
Yeah, for me, this is about fun. I'm doing this primarily to enjoy myself. Yes, you're doing British Touring Car because you want to compare yourself and you want to see what it's like. But I enjoyed the Porsche. For me, I didn't particularly enjoy driving the car. I enjoy driving this car. So therefore, to go out there, the idea of having the close door-to-door racing, that part of it, that excites me. So I'm looking forward to getting out on circuit and seeing, having the sort of the combat, with the other drivers. No matter where you are in the field, that'll be fun. From front to back, you'll have a moment where you can enjoy the racing element.